partnerships in the cleaning industry are critical to success. And I'm not speaking just about the typical financial agreement you might make with another company. I'm speaking of when two companies come together to analyze a challenge and then figure out a solution that's impactful. That is what we are going to dig into today in this special episode of Straight Talk. So to do this today, I'm pleased to welcome two industry professionals, Brad Kenny with Nilfisk and Mark Regnan with Jani-King. Gentlemen, welcome to the program.
Thank you.
Thank you.
So Mark, tell us a little bit about Jani-King and its role in the industry. I believe you run two separate franchises.
Correct. So Jani-King is a international company and has 120 regional offices worldwide with over 10,000 franchisees. They provide services all the way from a small office setting all the way to Dallas Cowboys football stadium and larger. So we are very small accounts to very, very large accounts. We service, in my market, we service some 1,500 accounts on a nightly basis. Jani-King worldwide, probably in the neighborhood of 35 or 40,000 accounts a night. So it's a very large organization that's spread out over, multiple continents.
That's a lot of jobs every night. Impressive.
Yeah, it's very good for our franchisees who make the whole thing work.
One way you make it work is with partnerships like with Nilfisk, and that's why Brad Kenny's here with us today. So Brad, what does Nilfisk do to partner with companies like Jani-King, and how does that all work?
Yeah, so Nilfisk has been partnered with Jani-King for over 20 years. We offer a wide range of products from pressure washers to your traditional floor care to industrial vacuums and high-level cleaning services. We have myself, who's a national account manager, but we also have local RMs and sales associates that call on the different Jani-King locations around the whole U.S. and in different countries as well. So we have a full support team that's able to go out and work with Jani-King from the small local level all the way up to the national level.
Wow, I think that's so important. Mark talked about how many jobs they do a night, how many clients they have. With the support of Nilfisk, that's powerful. But let's talk about a special partnership between Nilfisk and Jani-King, maybe above and beyond the normal supplier end user partnership. Mark, can you speak about that and talk about projects that Nilfisk has helped you with?
So one of the things that comes to mind that we're breaking into as far as our franchisees and training them is on high dusting. And I don't mean 10 feet, I mean 35 or 40 feet in the air in manufacturing plants that are critical. I'll give you one example. We just completed almost a 800,000 square foot facility that manufactures transformers. Very high level of cleanliness, and they were losing transformers from the dust that was in the ceiling falling into the transformers. And when you think about it, a transformer costs anywhere from $100,000 to $400,000 to make, probably more. But this facility made some very large ones, and we're losing transformers. So we were able to go in and using the high dusting equipment and not interrupt their daily operations without scaffolding and lifts and scissor lifts, and able to go in and show them how to high dust. And we did that for them using the camera systems that connect to the handle and the frame, and actually got to show them that. And they've never really seen how to do it without people getting on the scaffolding. So that was a great partnership with Nilfisk, understanding the equipment, how that equipment was used, working with the RMs, and getting all this set up and to show the customer that there was an easier way to get the high dusting done and for them not to lose transformers for things falling into it.
Good story. And Brad, with Nilfisk, you must feel pretty good about being able to help one of your clients.
Mark and I met at one of the Jani-King's executive meetings, and we sat down, and Mark and I started this conversation And the first thing he said, I'm tired of cleaning commercial office buildings. I want to get to where there's some more margin and some more money to be made, which is construction cleanup and high level cleaning. And that's what I specialized before I was a national account manager. I was our industrial vacuum expert for the Southeast, and all I did was go on the industrial facilities. And I was on the other side. I was actually helping manufacturing companies be able to do this work themselves. And I tried to think about it and flip it on its head. But if we could partner with the BSC like a Jani-King and they could add this service to their offering, it could be a great partnership. And it's worked out really well for Mark and I.
That's a good story. Mark, talk about finding products, equipment in the industry. How tough is that to find the right fit?
So it's a pretty difficult undertaking. Brad basically talking about the partnership with Nilfisk over 20 years with Jani-King, and typically Jani-King is pretty loyal to its vendors. We try to make sure that we've got that really close relationship. It's important from the fact that as a BSC, we're not an in-house service, and understanding the equipment, how the equipment works, production rates, all of those things that make BSCs a better margin. The only way to understand that is to have the right partnership with a vendor. And like Nilfisk, we understand the equipment, we understand how it's designed, we understand the production rates, we understand its limitations and what the equipment is really good at doing. And so when we're going out providing a proposal, we already know what the equipment can do, and we already know how fast we can use the equipment and how well the equipment's going to be able to do what we need to do. The other thing is looking at the fact that understanding labor today. If we can give a piece of equipment to a franchise owner staff member and they'll put in 50% effort, we're going to get 100% return on the equipment. And you kind of have to look at it that way, since COVID is putting the right equipment in their hands and letting the equipment do the work. As long as they'll move it to where it needs to go and just let the equipment do its thing, you got a pretty good setup from the perspective of labor is only going to do so much nowadays, and you got to really let the equipment do the work. And so that relationship with Nilfisk, we understand the equipment. We've been up to Nilfisk's headquarters. We've looked at the manufacturing. We understand the equipment. And it's not like you would find with an in-house service. They just want to buy a piece of equipment to do a job, and they really don't care about the production rate. They don't care about the ins or outs of the equipment. They just want to basically move the equipment to where it needs to do, and hopefully everything gets done. They're not looking at a profit margin at the end of the day.
I like this. So, Brad, I don't know how long you've been doing this, but have things changed over the past few years? It sounds like just buying a piece of equipment is not the way to approach this partnership. It's collaboration and talking and figuring out solutions. Mark talked about facilities might look at things differently. So when you have a client like Jani-King, you must put some research into what they really need.
Yeah, and that's why it's so important to meet with guys like Mark and really learn their market and what they're doing. What Mark's doing in St. Louis could be completely different than what they're doing down in Miami. So it's super important to understand the market that they're in, what they want to go after, and what we can do to help them. And that's why coming up with these solutions, historically, we've always worked with the retail and the all commercial office buildings, but expanding that and training them and using my background of industrial and training the locations on how to go after industrial facilities, look at different opportunities if they are cleaning a manufacturing or a warehouse. Instead of just getting that front office, make sure that you're asking about the back of office and how they're cleaning that and the specialty services that we could add on to the project. And it's super important to really make sure that you're maximizing on all your opportunities in these facilities.
Okay, very good. I'd like to know from both of you, maybe we'll start with you, Mark, on this. What would you like to see in the future about collaboration with suppliers and end users like yourself? Anything you can think that would make it even better?
So I think that from my perspective, and I've been doing this a long time, 25 plus years, and working with Nilfisk quite a many of those years. I think sometimes we maybe get more input from the end user before they actually design the equipment, before they actually spend the money to build the equipment, to look at a prototype, sign an MDA if needed, look at the prototype and what they think the engineers are thinking that it's supposed to do versus what we see in the field that we need to see. One of the things that come to mind is robotics and how those robotics are going to work in the future. And how that one, the in-house guy, of course, but the BSC looking at it going, hey, if this is going to replace somebody, how's that going to happen? And what does that look like? And what is that going to cost before, our partner, Nilfisk, kind of jumps out there and spends all this money on designing things that may or may not work. I mean, they from an engineer perspective, they work, but from an end user perspective, they might not work. And spend more time with the end user before they actually spend the money building the equipment, kind of looking at the design and going, hey, what happens if it did this, or what happens if it did that? And some food for thought for the engineers who design it.
Good suggestions. Brad, what do you think of that?
I love it. We try to have those conversations with our partners. We include partners into the co-collaboration, like Mark said, on how we design equipment. Mark actually got to see one of the newer robotic machines that we're launching, but it's something that we need to do more of, and something that we're already doing for the next generation of Nilfisk products that are coming out there.
Now, Mark talked about what he'd like to see the manufacturing side do. Brad, anything for the end user side you want to see them do?
I would say be more open to new opportunities and collaborate with us. From my experience, a lot of times things are held close to the vest, but having a relationship like I have with Mark, where you can let those cards down, you could really explore and learn to be able to help and be able to have them make more money on projects and go after new opportunities where they can maximize their potential.
Fantastic. Partnerships, collaboration, looking at challenges, together coming up with solutions. That sounds like what we talked about today. Would you agree?
Yes.
Yes.
Okay. Did we miss anything you would like to say in closing?
I'm just very appreciative, and I know Jani-King's very appreciative, and our franchisees worldwide are appreciative of Nilfisk Advance's ability to work with Jani-King, bring equipment and technology to our franchisees. One of the biggest things I think is, like Brad said, is that partnership where the collaboration is open and the conversations are open. It's a very competitive market. Everybody's worried about, trade secrets, but I will tell you, cleaning a toilet is cleaning a toilet, and there's really not a trade secret.
I have to agree with that. Yep. All right. Brad, final word. Anything you'd like to share in closing?
No, I mean, I just want to thank Mark for believing in me and giving me a chance to really go after this high level cleaning, and I'm already looking at the next steps. So we talked about robotics. I think that's going to be the next game changer into the BSC space. I'm working on a project with concrete polishing to go with the BSCs for when they get into these warehouse and industrial spaces, that it's a kind of 4-to-1 approach versus a 1-to-1 approach. So I'm really excited for what the future holds, and I'm really appreciate the time.
I do want to say, Brad, Mark, thank you for your time today. It's good to hear the stories you share, the collaboration, and what it really means. Bottom line, getting the work done better, faster, more productive. Maybe even make some more money, Mark. What do you think?
Absolutely.